Konnichiwa, Jaya, nice day desu. So welcome to part 22 of our series in Conversation Japanese. And so for this episode, I would like to cover two more useful phrases that you may like to know if you're conversing in Japanese. One of them is, of course, I'm sorry, and the other one is excuse me. So the Japanese word for I'm sorry isごめんなさい. And the Japanese word for excuse me is すみません. And the way that you would use these phrases is exactly the same as in English. So for example, if you did something wrong and wanted to say you're sorry to someone, then you would say ごめんなさい. On the other hand, if you were doing something like passing by somebody and wanted to say excuse me, then the Japanese equivalent would be すみません. Another use of すみません would be, for example, when you wanted to call a waiter or a salesman in a department store or something. And of course, in English, you would say, excuse me. And the same way in Japanese, you would say, すみません. And so these can be considered basically interchangeable between the two languages. Now, with regards to the pronunciation, for ごめんなさい, it can be broken down into two separate syllables, ごめん and なさい. And ごめん consists of three Japanese letters. They are the letters ご, め, and ん. And when you put them together, you get ごめん, 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 ごめん. Now, as far as なさい, it consists of another three letters, な, さ, and い. So, of course, when you put it together, you get なさい, なさい, nasai, nasai, nasai. So now when you put the two phrases together, you get ごめんなさい, 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 ごめんなさい. Now the ごめん part of ごめんなさい is the actual sorry phrase, and you could actually say ごめん by itself rather than ごめんなさい. However, it is a less formal situation. It's quite a bit less formal situation. So I wouldn't say that unless you're very familiar with the person, such as if it's a very close friend, or somebody that, is in your family, those types of situations, then of course, ごめん is actually more appropriate than ごめんなさい because you don't particularly want to be that formal to someone you're very close to. However, for other situations or most other situations, such as professional meetings or even things like a parent-teacher meeting or whatever, you would say ごめんなさい for sorry rather than ごめん because ごめん is just too personal. Okay, so as far as nasai, nasai comes from the kind of the infinitive nasaru, which means to do. And if you say it in nasai, then it basically becomes imperative. So you usually put nasai when you're trying to tell people to do something, such as 走りなさい would be go run, or 書きなさい would be go write. However, in this case, of course, since you're the one that's saying sorry and not telling somebody else to say sorry, the only way I could explain it is the statement of ごめんなさい is saying, please accept my apology. Okay, so ごめんなさい is the standard version, and ごめん you can think of as the very personal version of I'm sorry. Okay, so next we have excuse me, which in Japanese is すみません. And to pronounce this one, you could break it down into two syllables, すみ and ません. And for すみ, it consists of two Japanese letters, which are す and mi. And when you put it together, it's すみ, すみ. That's relatively simple. The other one, the second syllable of ません consists of three letters, which are ま, せ, and ん. So if you put it together, it's ません, 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 ません. So now if you put すみ and ません together, then you get すみません, 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 すみません. Okay, so in this case, there is no shortened version for a less formal version of すみません. すみません is basically the standard form for saying excuse me. Now, there are a less formal version, but it is a slightly different pronunciation. So you can say things like すまん or すまない, rather than sumimasen. And those would be kind of a less formal way of saying it. But however, for the most part, sumimasen will work as a universal no matter what situation you're in. So if you were going to learn anything, I would suggest learning sumimasen rather than suman or sumanai. Okay, so to review the two phrases, I'm sorry in Japanese is gomen nasai. You can say gomen under very personal relationships, but overall, gomen nasai is a good universal. Similarly, for excuse me, it's sumimasen. So once more, gomen nasai, sumimasen. Gomen nasai, sumimasen. Okay, so that's it for this episode of Conversation Japanese. I hope you found it somewhat useful. And thank you very much for watching the video. Arigatou gozaimasu, or thank you very much. We'll continue to make more conversational Japanese videos in the future. I hope you join us at that time. If you have any comments, please post them in the comments section below. It's always a pleasure to make these videos for you. And until the next episode, we wish you all the best. And as always, Jaya, nice day, everyone.